Hey everybody, welcome to Hack That Funnel Radio. I'm so happy that you are here. We're going to be talking today with Richert, who has built a business for herself that she loves building in every day and has made her $1 million. So we'll be talking about that.
I have spent the last 5 years building hundreds of marketing funnels and systems for over 100 clients, and I can tell you, most of you are skipping the most important part of the funnel build. There is a secret step-by-step blueprint that makes every sales funnel profitable. What is it? That is the question, and this podcast is the answer. My name is Ben Moote, and this is Hack That Funnel Radio.
All right, so here we are. We're here with Bailey today, and we're going to be talking about her business. So Bailey has done this amazing thing where Bailey has built her dream business. Now, I'll let her kind of talk about her backstory, but really, she's built a dream lifestyle business where she can do what she wants, where she wants, and how she wants to do it. She's done it successfully, and she's gone on a path that a lot of us have, and some of us think may have been the perfect way to be, to succeed. But she changed in a lot of ways. I'll let her talk about that. But thank you for being on, Bailey. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure.
And the first time I heard about you, it was on the 30days.com when they did the summit. And you were leading the summit. You were doing all the interviews. And on the background, I believe you were scheduling everything and making it all work, correct?
Yes, that's true. Actually, doing the summit was my idea. I had come to Russell and said, hey, why don't we do a ClickFunnels summit? He had already been thinking about doing the 30 days concept, but as a book. And so essentially I said, hey, if you let me organize and manage this summit project, we can do the book and the summit together. What do you think about that? And he said, let's do it.
That's cool. And that's the best way to go at someone who's as busy as Russell, is you come over and like, I'll just take care of everything and we'll add it on to yours and it'll be great.
Yep.
You don't have to do anything, right?
Exactly.
That is so cool. And then I saw you spoke on stage at Funnel Hacking Live.
Yes.
You were talking about the summit funnel.
Yep, exactly. This past February. So we did such an amazing job with the 30-day summit, had such incredible results. This was in the fall of 2018 that Russell said, I think that we should talk about the concept of virtual summits at Funnel Hacking Live. What do you think? Would you like to speak on that? And I said, absolutely.
That is so cool. Oh, no, I can't imagine how scary it is on that stage. There were like 3,000 people there?
Oh, there was more. I think there was about 4,000.
That was so big. And they're doing it again at the same place. So I'm stoked. But
yeah. It's funny though, because the truth is it's so dark. You can't see anybody past the first or second row. And so, really, if you just, keep just thinking that you're playing to those individuals, that's really the key. Plus, admittedly, I have a background speaking on stage and doing things like that. And yeah, I think, to be honest, I was actually a bit more nervous when I was standing in the back with Russell and Dean Graziosi and like all of the other incredible, such wonderful entrepreneurs and speakers. And I was nervous there. But then once I finally got out on stage and I just really got in my groove, it all went away. And it was just like I was chatting with some friends or teaching, one of my web classes.
Mm-hmm. It became more natural because you've already practiced how many different times on stage and in webinars. So that's cool.
Right, exactly. And essentially I was giving the same presentation, tweaked of course for Funnel Hacking Live, but it was about summits, and summits are one of the things that I do teach on. So I knew the material inside and out. And when you're that comfortable with a thing that you teach, you can't forget it. It's almost impossible.
Well, and you have your own summit. So just in summary, you have your own summit, you have your own courses, you have your own coaching business. Like,
yes.
How did you get started in this? Because everyone has their own little story. Like, what's your story?
How far back do you want me to start?
It's a good question. So, when did you want to go online? Okay. So, well, I feel like I have to just like briefly kind of back like up to the fact that, just like you, I was in the corporate world for a while as well. So I was always taught that there was this American dream you were supposed to follow. I was valedictorian at high school. I won a scholarship to go study engineering, and I went and got my bachelor's and master's in engineering, and eventually wound up working as an environmental engineering consultant out in California. And so I actually spent a couple of years doing that before I decided that I wanted to pursue something else. I was about 25 years old when I started having, honestly, a quarter life crisis. I was legitimately having panic attacks, anxiety about my future, because I just woke up one day essentially and realized that the path that I was on, I could be on for the next 50 years if I didn't make a change. And was that the life that I wanted to have? And all of this was kind of coming about around this time. You might ask, well, why did it take 2 or 3 years for you to
feel this way. It was really all because of something called the PE, the professional engineering license. It's you go to school for engineering, then you get a job and you get all this experience, and then you qualify for your PE exams so that you can get licensed as an engineer, right? And so that's what was happening with my career at the time. Because basically after you get your PE, that was the carrot on the stick. That was the thing that I was getting. I want my PE. I want to be a licensed. But once you get that, then it's not that your career is over, of course, but there's no next challenge. And I'm a person that just thrives on having the next challenge, figuring, out the next problem. And I think in general, that's why I like engineering, because it's all about, solving problems and finding solutions and things. And ironically, so is business, but just in a different way. And so after that carrot on a stick wasn't there anymore, after I passed the exams and it was like, well, what are you going to do for the rest of your life? You could either stay at the company you're at now. Usually they give you a raise. Maybe you work on a few more difficult problems. They trust you more. Maybe you get to be project manager or something. Or you can move to a different company and do the exact same thing. But for me, it wasn't enough. And I realized, okay, this isn't actually what I want to do for the rest of my life. And that's when I started to pursue online business. Now, so you asked me, when did I go online? So that was pretty much when I started doing online business. Now, I don't talk about this too much, but I had dabbled in other forms of entrepreneurship earlier in my life. Like in college, I did some professional photography because I'm an amateur photographer and I love doing it. And there were, a few other things. I think a lot of entrepreneurs have that kind of story, right? Like before they hit it big or before they kind of get into their thing, maybe they don't talk about it because it's confusing to their backstory, but usually they've tried other businesses. Maybe they did flipping e-commerce stuff from Walmart, or, they go to garage sales or yard sales and they buy stuff and then they flip it on eBay or whatever. But there's always that entrepreneurial gene, I think. And so I had done offline stuff. That was mostly a lot of offline things that I had done for a while. And then I decided around the time that I wanted to take entrepreneurship and being a business owner seriously around this quarter life crisis time, that I really had to think about building a business that supported the lifestyle that I wanted. I said, if I was really going to do this, what was going to work for me? And that's how I got into doing info products. So I knew that it was going to be an online business. I was following a few other gurus at the time. I don't know if you know Natalie Sisson. She's from New Zealand. She's called the Suitcase Entrepreneur. So she touted this whole travel while you work, online business, lifestyle kind of thing. And, in my own business today, I do travel a lot, but I don't talk about it in my business all that much because I don't want people to feel that they have to travel to be an entrepreneur. But she went all in on that branding. And for me, I was all about that. I was like, yes, this is great. This is what I want. Let me follow what she's doing and model what she's doing. And there were other people, of course, Tim Ferriss came out with a 4-hour work week around this time. What was that? 2008 or something. And so that was super. I actually picked that up in an airport. I was literally looking for something to read. I always peruse the books, and I saw this and was like, this is awesome. So we've all read that, the Rich Dad, Poor Dad, all that kind of stuff. And so I said, all right, I think that it's online business and I think it's info products. And part of it is just because I knew back then that I was a good writer. I love writing. I think it's one of my strongest skill sets. And I basically said to myself, well, I think I'm going to be an author, not fiction. I think I'll write books, info products. And as I think you may have mentioned it, or we were talking off camera before, but how I got started in the info product space was in the travel niche. So I didn't start off as a coach of info products. That wouldn't have made any sense. I didn't have the experience I needed. So I decided that I love travel. People always came to me about travel stuff. It was one of those things where it was always like, Bailey's the go-to travel girl. So I said, I'm going to write books and I'm going to do courses and speaking and stuff about how to travel abroad. Now, I always make this caveat, I don't want people to think that I was some sort of Instagram travel blogger. There are no bikini pictures out there anywhere. It wasn't like that. It was info products as it was then and as it is now in my business. It's all about how to. It's nonfiction. It's very much here's how to get your passport, and here's what a visa is, and here's the vaccinations, and here's what you need to know about traveling with pets. And it was all that kind of stuff. And the target audience that I was serving were actually college students, because I had myself done 2 study abroad semesters in college. So I had a lot of connections to the study abroad industry, if that's what you want to call it. Yeah. And so that was the primary target audience that I was serving. How I got into coaching, I never intended to go into coaching. That just happened because I was doing the travel industry stuff for years. I was building that business for a while, and it's gone through a lot of changes. I still have that business, as we were discussing earlier, but the way that that business looks now is not the same because so many things have changed. But I was doing that business for years, and people just started coming and talking to me about how I was doing the info product stuff. So it was friends and families and then acquaintances and then strangers on the internet that were reaching out to me and saying, how did you do that course, and how are you finding success with this publishing and all this sort of stuff? And, this was back in the day. I mean, people that are getting into this space now, like, might not remember, but like, let me tell you this. So you guys know Udemy, right? So like the first online course that I ever put out was on Udemy in the travel section. There were only 3 other travel courses. It was me and 3 other people that were selling travel courses. If you go onto Udemy now, there's like hundreds, maybe even thousands. I mean, I don't use that platform anymore. But that's how early this was, right? And so just to give you some idea, that's why people were reaching out to me, because it was so early. So people would ask me about those things. And at the start, I just, send them emails or, messages on Facebook and was like, here's what I did, here, I don't know the right way to do it, but here's what I'm doing, right? And after a while, I just realized that there was just this huge need. There was a big niche. There was, this industry was growing. So many people wanted to know. And here I was having all this life experience and knowledge of having done the info products because I got into the industry super early, So I decided, okay, at some point I need to start sharing this. So I started blogging about it. I started putting, some information, some ebooks, some courses out there. My first course ever, I don't even have that anymore, was about how to self-publish your own ebook on Amazon. And it's funny, like now my whole view on how self-publishing industry is totally different because like the industry has changed and all that stuff. But there was a point in time, not too long, but there was a point in time where I was almost running 2 businesses, where I was doing all the travel stuff. And then I was starting to grow as a coach, even though I don't even think I thought of myself as a coach. I was just like, I'm just trying to help people with this stuff. And then I said, I can't do this anymore because it's confusing, first of all, because I've got like 2 brands. And then also, my attention is being split. And if I really want to succeed, I have to choose. And I think just my own internal experience and my gut instinct was, well, college students are broke. I'm always, trying to find the money in that space. And I think that with the, there's so many new technologies that have come out that have democratized travel, I guess you could say, that I was like, I don't know if there's necessarily a future in this industry the way I was running my business at that time. So like I said, it's been through a lot of changes to make it more sustainable. I do different things now with that business. But I said, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to commit to doing coaching full time and build my brand around this. So that was around 2015 or so. And I just basically said, I'm going all in on BaileyRichert.com as a business coach for info products. And that was a really scary commitment because, you're basically like cutting off one big revenue stream, cutting off one arm and saying, I'm going all in with this thing and hoping that it'll work. And it was tough in the beginning, I'll be honest, because, there was more competition in the coaching space, which can be a good thing, obviously. I've leveraged it in lots of ways, from virtual summits and guest speakers, doing podcasts and stuff like this. But it was also harder to stand out when you were just getting started. And then, making this commitment to, well, I'm a business coach, but only info products, not e-commerce, not anything else. Making that sort of commitment was tough, and trying to get people to recognize the value here. Now things obviously are great, but it's been years and years of growth, of leveraging that personal brand, of creating awesome content, of getting involved with companies like ClickFunnels and all that sort of stuff. So it was kind of this, like, looking back on it now, it was kind of this perfect magic mesh at around the 2015 time, though, because ClickFunnels had only just come out at the end of 2014. I was an early adopter. I got in on the full suite from day one as soon as I discovered it in early 2015. And that's right when I was starting my coaching business. So it was like this magical thing where I was able to start building my personal brand as a coach on ClickFunnels platform from day one, basically. And, I see a lot of people now. I'm still trying to get some of my coaching friends over onto ClickFunnels. They're struggling with all this stuff. And I feel like it's really holding them back. Whereas I feel like I've been able to basically soar because I made some right decisions with the technology, with the branding. Like, here's another right decision that I made was that, 5, 6, 10 years ago, so many people that wanted to do what I'm doing now were doing it with like little cutesy blog names. Yeah. And I said, nope, I'm going all in on my personal brand from day one. Like, that's what I'm doing. And then, like, you know, I don't want to call anybody out, but like there were certain bloggers that were like starting to move over and like ditch the blog name and move over into their personal brand. Yeah. And I was like, oh, I've already been doing that. So I feel like I already, like, I didn't have to backtrack. I didn't have to try to fix something. I feel really fortunate looking back on it now because I was always able to just keep growing year after year. There was no major like setback or anything. It's always just been a lot of growth because I made certain right choices. So I know that was a lot, but.
That's a long story. I mean, you've been here for a while and you know the industry. Yeah. You and I, we both got in on ClickFunnels about the same time. So that's kind of cool. Did you hear funnel hacks? Like, how did you get in on ClickFunnels?
No.
Yeah. How did you get in?
It was a friend. So my friend Tyler Wagner, who runs like a self-publishing company called Authors Unite, I was interviewing him for my first summit or for a course. I think it was actually one of my courses or something. I don't even remember now, but I was just complaining to him. Honestly, we were just, you know, talking as you do after an interview. And I was just saying, oh, this funnel, like without naming some of the competitors, I was frustrated because I was trying to like take this piece of technology and this piece of technology and to get it to work. And I was just complaining, honestly, and being upset about it. And he was like, you know, have you heard of this new thing called ClickFunnels? I hear it's awesome. I think it'll solve your problems. And I was like, no, I've never heard of this before. I literally went to the sales page after I was done talking with Tyler and I signed up right then. I knew, I felt it in my bones. I was like, this is going to be the future of marketing because they're solving this huge problem. And anybody that doesn't recognize this then doesn't know marketing very well because they took this like piecemeal problem that we had of trying to combine PayPal and a landing page software plus this, plus that, plus like, you know, your Teachable or whatever. I was doing online courses before Teachable even existed. I even remember like some of these platforms coming out and trying all of them and trying to figure out which was the right one to use. Yep. There's ones that I was on that don't even exist anymore. And I was like, ClickFunnels is going to literally take all of this and put it under one roof. One roof. That's amazing. I said, I am all in from day one. If I could have invested, they weren't public obviously, but if I could have invested in that company from the start, I would have, just to make sure that they would have succeeded, because it was like, I cannot live without this software anymore. After I got on it, I'm like, this is it. This is the future. So.
Yeah. When I hopped on, it was I had just joined Russell Brunson's Inner Circle program. Back then it was much different. Yeah. It was like $5,000 was the cheapest entry level. And that's all the savings I had for my business I was going to start. And I was like, okay. So I jumped in, and you can make mistakes. And this was not a mistake. Like, there was so much that I learned from that group, but they gave us the beta access to it as it was like going in. So it was like breaking all the time, but I couldn't stop playing with it.
Yeah.
It was just the answer that everyone had searched for. You keep trying to create a form and try to embed it. And where do you put the video? And you just didn't know if you were doing it right. ClickFunnels solved all that.
Right. Absolutely. And what's so interesting is that I've been able to watch the platform grow for the past, 4.5 years. And what's so great about it is, like, I build all my own funnels because I'm a control freak like that, but I also love it. It's also kind of fun. But I feel like, I'm sure there are people on my level, but I feel like I know the platform better than anyone because I have been literally using it from day one. And every time they release a new feature, I'm like, okay, I'm on this. Let's learn it. But there's no major setback or learning curve. Like, for those people getting on it now, just like any software, there's a backlog of information they have to learn. How do I use the editor? How do I do this? Whereas I already know all that stuff. So anytime they're like, oh, we released a new feature, it takes me 10 minutes to learn it and I'm good, right? It's just adding to all the knowledge. Whereas somebody else getting on it that's new, I totally understand, why there's this learning curve because they have to learn everything from scratch. But for me, I've watched everything evolve. I've even submitted, tickets where I'm like, fix this. I don't like it. Like, what can we do about this? Or it's not a good user experience or something, and I watched the platform evolve. So when people, I had somebody recently ask me, how can you feel so confident going in on ClickFunnels? And I'm like, I've literally watched it from day one grow into what it is today. And I know Russell, but even if I didn't, listening to him do the State of the Union every year at Funnel Hacking Live and talk about the money that they're investing in the development and your protection against hacking and all this other stuff, I said, this is a company that really cares about the success of the people that are building on it. And they really take that seriously. And I wouldn't go with anyone else at this point.
Well, I wish I remember what the statistic was, but they were stating how many jobs had been created just because ClickFunnels became a software.
That's crazy. I know.
That was dramatic. I was like, oh, it was easily above, I want to say it was above 20,000, if not 100.
Yeah. Well, we talk about the ripple effect all the time about, ClickFunnels. There was a Voxer thread of all the speakers and from Funnel Hacking Live this past year. And we were talking about this idea of the ripple effect and how, you get up on that stage, or you do anything in life, but you get up on that stage and you think, well, this 20-minute presentation is not going to change anything. And that's not true at all. I mean, the number of people, I'll just talk about, my talk, the number of people that I know that have launched summits with my help or without my help ever since I gave that talk. And then the number of people that are affected from watching those summits. And then, it just goes and goes and goes. It's crazy.
No, it is crazy. But it all starts with that initial take of jumping in, of finding somebody that you can trust in and jumping in, which is what your story was.
Yeah.
When you found the gal who when you found that one gal.
Natalie Sisson, yeah.
Natalie, there we go. Yeah. So when you found her, everything kind of clicked and you're like, I'm following that. So so it's been years now. You built so many funnels. What was the funnel that brought you a 2 Comma Club?
Yeah, so the 2 Comma Club came out of my work from the 30days.com summit that I did with Russell. So this is something that I love talking about because I feel like there's so many solopreneurs out there, and I serve the solopreneurs, or I serve the individuals. And so many of them think that, you have to get your 2 Comma Club on your own, or that it doesn't count if you do it with other people, which is absurd because I think pretty much everybody, I haven't done the official poll, but I'm pretty sure that like every single person that's won a 2 Comma Club award did it with a team somehow. There was some team or something that was involved in the process, whether it is your course, but you hire a Facebook ads guru or manager to run your Facebook ads, or you hire a copywriter, or, whatever it is. And I think that was a misconception that I had in the beginning, was like, oh, this like one person sold $1 million worth of their course, but that's not how it works. Like normally it's a team of people all working together because to sell $1 million worth of anything is incredible. But anyway, so yeah, it was through the 30days.com summit, which, as I mentioned, I had an opportunity to manage, but also do the interviews for. Well, but one of the things that I think is just so darn incredible is that it was a $100 offer. It was the One Funnel Away Challenge, which, Russell at this time of this recording is still running, he's still doing it. And when you think, and yes, there were upsells and order bumps and all that stuff. So, you got to take that into account. But the fact that we were able to make over $1 million in 13 and a half days on a front end $100 offer, that just blows my mind. So it kind of shows you the power of summits. And that's one of the things that I do love about summits is that they have such a high perceived value. When you are bringing together the minds and the knowledge of literally 30 people all in one place, the perceived value for the viewer and for the buyer is just tremendous. It's absolutely gigantic.
Yeah, no, I remember hopping in and realizing that was the bonus. I was like, oh my, and I loved it. Like I absolutely loved it. I love the 30.
Yeah. Well, imagine for me, everybody is still learning. I don't care if you've made, $10 billion in your business, you can always learn from somebody else, right? And so for me, even just to network, interview, work with all of the amazing expert speakers that were on that event, who, they're doing all sorts of different things in their business that I'm not doing. I was able to, learn, and it was so cool. And since I interviewed them, I was able to get FaceTime with them, just like this on this call. So they know my name, and, we were able to, network, which was really an invaluable opportunity, because then the next year, this, past Funnel Hacking Live, it was like, oh, hey, friend, let's take a picture. I remember you. And, it was a lot more natural rather than trying to randomly introduce yourself and make something happen,
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I was talking to my wife today. She's in the dog rescue world, and she was talking about how everything's built on relationships.
Yeah.
And it's the same anywhere you go. Even though we're online, even though we never get to, we only see each other like maybe at Funnel Hacking Live or other events. It's all about relationships at the end of the day.
No, absolutely. I mean, that's one of the reasons that when people come to me to start their business as an infopreneur, I say you have to really go hard on your personal brand, because we're just doing business human to human. And especially as an infopreneur creating info products, you are your first case study. People want to know what you did to get results. You know, they want to learn from you. They want to know who is it that's creating this course. And so those personal relationships are absolutely key in all aspects, whether it's the influencers and the networking, or whether it's to your clients and selling to your audience. Absolutely.
Either way. So now you are where you are. Like, I love that. I went to your website, like you give your information about where your revenues have been, how things are going, like what your business is. What does day in your life look like now? Is it like on the beach, or sipping the good stuff, enjoying the life, watching the money fly? What is life like now that you are where you are?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So as I kind of mentioned earlier in this conversation, one of the reasons that I don't really bring the aspect of travel into my personal brand as a coach is because I don't want people to think that they have to travel in order to be an infopreneur, but I also don't want people to get any ridiculous delusions about what it is, that the kind of lifestyle that you can have. And, there are some people that lean really hard into that marketing, like here's a picture of me with my laptop on a beach. But I think that anybody who's really found success in this industry knows that that's a facade put on for marketing, and that doesn't feel very authentic to me. Now, that said, I do travel a lot. Because that's important to me. And I do share that with my audience. I was in Buenos Aires last year, and I did a Facebook Live from walking around the streets of, Palermo, Soho. And I was like, hey, I'm down here in Argentina and it's great. But that's because I was really there, like it wasn't like a fake marketing thing. It was like, this is where I am right now. So a day in my life. So basically, when I have to answer this question, I always try to put it into 2 different days, because there's days when I'm at home in Pittsburgh and there's days when I'm traveling, and they're almost complete opposites of one another. And here's why. I am not a morning person. I don't like mornings. I don't schedule calls before 9 a.m. Most of the time, not before 10 a.m. if I can help it, because I'm just not awake. It takes me a really long time to get awake. So when I'm at home, based here in I have a house here in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, which is like my home base. And I would say that I spend like half the year here and half the year away. Not always 6 months, but it usually kind of works out that way. So when I'm at home, I never get up early because I hate mornings, and I have cereal for breakfast every morning, and I, do all of my, calls and things like that during the day, just like a normal person that has a real job, right? Like, doing this interview with you in the middle of the afternoon, that sort of stuff. I do try to combine my client calls to Tuesdays and Wednesdays if I can, because I find that if I'm at home and I have to get dressed up for my calls and stuff, I would rather batch them all together, because I find that that's just a better use of my time. Like, just get in the groove, do 5 or 6 client calls and podcast interviews and stuff during the same day. And then that allows me to take Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and not put makeup on, sit all day at my computer, do whatever it is that I have to do, that sort of stuff. When I'm traveling, however, because I really want to take advantage of the local, communities, and I really want to take advantage of everything that is there, botanical gardens and museums and adventures and all that sort of stuff. I do try to be out during the day. I take my phone with me so that I can check in on, any emergencies, clients, Voxer, all that sort of stuff. But I do try to be out during the day, and then I go hardcore work at night. So, really, making the most of the evening time, and especially whenever I'm in a different time zone, that can work out to my benefit anyway, because, next year I'm going to Australia and New Zealand, so it'll be almost flip-flopped. And that works out really well, because I'll be able to explore during the day, work during night, and have phone calls and stuff. And I still do the batching whenever I'm abroad as well, because then I'll just know that hey, Tuesday, I'm not actually going to get out and go do anything. Tuesday is all going to be calls and work and all that stuff. But then I know that I have, 4 or 5 days all combined together where I don't have any calls, and I can just focus on work when I have to and stuff. So, one of the things I'm a huge proponent of, though, whenever it comes to this concept of lifestyle freedom, is that so many people get into this idea of working for themselves because they think it means I can do whatever I want whenever I want. And that is not what it means at all. What it means is you're in charge, you're in control of your own schedule. So you can go to the dentist at 2:00 in the afternoon and not have to ask your boss because you just won't schedule a client for 2:00. But you know that means that you're going to have to do work at 7 p.m. at night because you didn't do it in the afternoon. You were too busy or you were doing something else. So really, I think that people resist scheduling so much. They're like, oh, I want to live a totally free lifestyle. I don't want to be beholden to a schedule. And I'm like, that's not what it means. Using scheduling, to live the life that you do want is actually going to be so much more beneficial to you in the end. And it's here. Let me give you a perfect example of what I mean. So I mentioned that I'm going to be doing this trip to Australia and New Zealand next year. Scheduling has helped me because I can say, okay, Tuesdays are work days, Wednesdays are call days, Thursdays, I'm going to go out and I'm going to do this tour. I'm going to see this museum and I'm going to do this. And then I'll do 2 hours of work in the evening. Friday, I'm not going to do any work. It's going to be a chill day. Then so scheduling is actually going to allow you to do more with your life. When you don't schedule, when it's just like, oh, I'll do whatever I feel like today, you're never as productive. You never accomplish all the tasks that you need to in your business to really grow and move things forward. You're not actually making real progress. You waste a ton of time. It's actually super important to realize that what lifestyle freedom really means.
So you find freedom literally in the scheduling. So yeah. The business itself is great, but being able to schedule everything is what creates that sense of freedom because you're able to swap things in and out.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, people dilly-dally whenever they don't actually know what it is that they're supposed to accomplish all day. If I said, okay, well, tomorrow you have 10 hours totally free, and you were like, awesome, but you didn't plan anything, what would happen? You would wake up late, right? You would sleep in. You'd spend a little bit of time trying to figure out like what you want to eat. Maybe you'd spend, you sit at your computer, you plan Facebook for a little while, and then you're like, all right, I guess I should like work on something, and then you kind of, pick something. You're never going to get anywhere with that. So, people resist the schedule. They're like, oh, I don't want to be locked into like another corporate job. It's not. You're in control of everything. There are times when I'll literally put self-care items on the calendar, but you don't have to tell your clients what you're doing. I'll just be like, okay, Friday at 3:00 is going to be my mani-pedi, and I'm just not accepting any calls Friday at 3. And if someone says, hey, can I talk to you Friday? And I'll be like, yeah, in the morning. Sure, like we can schedule something from 9 to 12, but after that, I'm doing my life, right? But ironically, I think that this is actually one of the areas that people then struggle with. Even if you do adopt the scheduling mindset and you say, yes, scheduling is good, people will always push themselves out. So like they will say, in this mani-pedi example, they will say, oh yeah, I'm free all day Friday. Anytime is good. Anytime is not good because you've already scheduled some activity for yourself. And if it's not a mani-pedi, then call it time with your niece or your children or whatever, at the end of the day, you have to recognize that like you have to start building in the things that you want to do. And this goes for travel as well. People are always telling me like, I don't understand how you can travel so much. Like, how do you do that? And I'm like, I sit down, I look at the calendar, I plan out 6 months in advance. I look at flights, I book the flight, I book the hotel, and then that's it. Like you have to plan it and make it happen and say, I'm doing this, and then work out, the rest of your business and stuff around that. It's as simple as that, but also as hard as that for some people, I guess.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it sounds like you kind of need to be a certain kind of person in order to make this work for you. Like if there's a kind of person that you could like pick out of a crowd and be like, yeah, that person's not going to make it. Like who sounds horrible, but sometimes
it's true.
When you're speaking, people just don't get it.
Well, I think that as a coach, I work one-on-one with my clients, and there are definitely those sorts of clients that after a couple of weeks working together, you're like, unless you make some serious changes, when you and I are done working together and I'm not pushing you every single day, then you're not going to make it because you're always trying to take shortcuts. You're not taking this seriously. You're not scheduling things right. You're not looking for growth opportunities, And of course, as a coach, it's my job to point those things out. And sometimes they don't like it, but I want them to succeed because the way I see it, and I know some coaches don't feel this way. Some coaches feel like, well, I got my money, so whatever. And if they don't continue their business when we're done, it's not my problem. I don't see it like that because even though I am being paid for my time on this earth is very precious. And if I'm going to give it to you to help you grow your business, then I am going to be upset if whenever we are done working together, you ultimately don't succeed because of you're getting in your own way. Now, there's lots of reasons businesses don't succeed. Maybe you fell on hard times, or maybe your niche ends up taking a fall or whatever. But if you're not succeeding because of your own issues that we tried to work together, but you never fixed them or you never committed to making that commitment, then it does make me upset, because I've given you my time on this earth and I tried to build something with you. I tried to help you, and you didn't follow through. And that's upsetting. Like, as a coach, I want to see you succeed. So, that's another thing that you have to think about when you're vetting your clients, right?
Yeah. So as much business education as you're providing, you're also providing a lot of personal education. Okay, guys, this is how you have to. Of course. Yeah. So
even though I don't brand myself with the personal education stuff, it's all about the business and the marketing and the actionable grow your income strategies. The personal stuff comes in anyway. You can't help it, because especially when you're a solopreneur, especially when you're just a business owner in general, your business becomes your life, or it's a huge part of your life, right? And there's so many things that affect that. Your schedule, what you do with your time, all that stuff, it can't be avoided. It naturally comes up in conversation anyway.
Right. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to cut this interview short for everyone who's watching. We want to thank Bailey for being on. Bailey, if people want to find out how to reach out to you, where should they go in order to learn more about?
Well, thanks for asking. Yeah, people can just check out my website, BaileyRichert.com. There's a contact form if they want to send me messages. There's links to all my courses, freebies, blog, all that sort of stuff. So really, that's the hub of it all, BaileyRichert.com.
BaileyRichert.com. Beautiful. And what we're going to do is we're going to ask Bailey 2 more questions really quick. And if you go to BaileyRichert.com, get the information that you need, that's going to be great. She'll be able to help you out with everything you need. So take care.
Sweet, awesome sauce. I hope you found something in this episode that made your mind explode. Now, would you like to take it to the next level? What if I give you the keys to the funnel hacking kingdom? What I want to give you is my MasterPack 5-day training for free. All you have to do is go to hackthatfunnelradio.com, put in your email, submit, and you will get my Funnel Hacking Master Pack right now, 100% free. It will teach you what to hack, where to hack, how to hack, and when to hack. All you have to do is go to hackthatfunnelradio.com and get it now. hackthatfunnelradio.com.